talk about the atheist community and how they follow in Dawkins' footsteps and ridicule anyone with religious faith, comparing their belief in God to belief in Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy or flying pink unicorns or the flying spaghetti monster. To me, it just comes across as a tactic to enable them to feel more comfortable about their own beliefs, but it is not a tactic which would convince any believer that they are wrong. Ridicule is not a line of reasoning, which is a curious sort of paradox for atheists who hold in esteem reason and their own intellect to such a degree. I wonder why all they can do is ridicule the belief, and I struggle to understand why belief in an intelligence besides our own is such a ridiculous concept to them. I think anyone who's truly intellectually honest has to admit that the idea of another intelligence is not ridiculous. It is a perfectly reasonable proposition which everyone at some point has to evaluate, has to assess, and to try and work out why we exist, how did we get here, and if we are going anywhere. I think there are a lot of unanswered questions in regards to our existence and why the world is the way it is. But just like John Polkinghorne, I feel that God gives the best explanation for our existence, for why there is something rather than nothing, why there is design in the cosmos. But I would just like to ask the atheist community to clarify their position to me, to help explain to me why the belief in another being is so far-fetched to you. I mean, we are intellectual beings, so we know intellectual beings can exist. So why cannot another intellectual being that created the universe exist? You know, surely if the idea of that intellectual being is so ridiculous, then surely the idea of us as intellectual beings existing is also ridiculous. I would just like to understand your position a little further. I would also like to appeal for more rational arguments for the atheist community to show to those of faith why you hold that position. Ridicule does not belong in mature conversation. It is not something that is going to benefit anybody intellectually. We can get absolutely nowhere based on the ridicule of Dawkins and Hitchens and Atkins. So I'd like to know, why do you choose to have so much faith in human intellect? You know, when no one really knows where we came from, you know, why the universe exists, why we exist. I think it's very safe to say now, despite some people who still want to reject it, that the universe did begin to exist and therefore must have a cause. I personally cannot have enough faith in the human mind to know for sure that God does not exist. I cannot have enough faith in myself or any other person who may tell me that there is a better explanation for why we and the universe exist. It took me a very long time to listen to those who spoke of God. But when you do, when you have the humility to sincerely listen to those who declare faith in Jesus Christ, when you will rid yourself of the arrogance that produces ridicule, then maybe you will be able to comprehend the idea of God.